12 practice area plugins, 20 plus connectors. The Microsoft 365 Surface, fully integrated. Free Law Project and the Justice Technology Association as access to justice partners. 20,000 lawyers signed up for the launch webinar. This is the most substantial single release any foundation model maker has shipped into the legal market. It happened on Tuesday this week. Markets noticed. Pearson, RELX, and Thomson Reuters all moved on the news. The legal technology press has already labeled it the moment foundation models stop being adjacent to legal practice and start being inside it. The panel's view: the launch is the real thing. Not vendor theater, not feature inflation. The architectural choices underneath suggest Anthropic has been listening carefully to what actually slows lawyers down and what actually causes malpractice exposure. Let's walk through what shipped, what matters, and what the panel is skeptical about. The release has 4 layers, and it helps to see them as layers rather than as one big product. Layer 1. 12 practice area plugins: commercial legal, corporate legal, litigation legal, employment legal, privacy legal, product legal, AI governance legal, and 5 more covering in-house, firm, and academic variants of the work. Each plugin begins with a cold start interview that learns your playbook, your escalation rules, your risk tolerances, and writes a practice profile to a local file called claude.md that every skill on the plugin reads from before it does anything. Layer 2. More than 20 MCP connectors: Westlaw and Practical Law through Thomson Reuters, Court Listener, DocuSign, iManage, NetDocuments, Everlaw, Box, Slack, Google Drive. Harvey and Legora as partner connectors, the tools firms already run, brought into the Claude environment. Layer 3. The Microsoft 365 Surface. Word, Outlook, Excel, and PowerPoint, all carrying context across. The 4 applications. A red line you do in Word doesn't need to be re-explained when it carries over to a cover note in Outlook. Layer 4. Managed agents. The plugins can run as agents through the API behind a firm's own workflow engine. Same skills, same playbook profile, different surface. You can't cover 12 plugins and 20 connectors in one episode. The panel's view on the 4 releases that change working practice this week. 1. Litigation. Legal, because it targets the highest volume production work in litigation, from chronology to claim chart to first pass brief. 2. Commercial legal, because vendor agreement and NDA review is the single highest volume daily workflow in in-house teams, and this plugin is built around an actual playbook, not against a generic legal standard. 3. The connector ecosystem, because the integration with Westlaw, Court Listener, and Practical Law turns Claude from a model that knows law in general into a model with access to the same authority sources your firm already pays for. 4. The Microsoft 365 Surface, because practicing lawyers don't work in chat windows. They work in Word, Outlook, and Excel. Bringing Claude into those applications changes the adoption curve. Let's walk through each. The Litigation Legal plugin ships with named agents for the work that consumes associate hours on every matter. Chronology Builder pulls dates and events from a document set and produces a structured timeline with source citation on every entry. Deposition Prep generates question outlines against a witness statement and matter file. Claim Chart Builder produces element-by-element claim charts in spreadsheet form with citation columns. First Pass Brief Drafter creates a structured first cut against a research memo. The pattern across all 4. They take work that previously required a junior associate and several days, and they compress it to a managed agent run plus senior review. The production work compresses, The judgment work, deciding which chronology entry actually matters, which question opens up the witness, which case anchors the argument, stays with the lawyer. Unpacked number 2 is the full walkthrough of litigation legal, worth watching if your work touches any of it. If you handle vendor agreements, supplier contracts, or NDAs, this is the plugin that changes your week. Commercial Legal opens with a cold start interview that asks 3 things. What are your playbook positions on the major clause categories? What's your escalation chain? And here's the question the panel found most telling. What's the thing that makes you groan when it hits your desk? The plugin then asks for 5 to 10 recently signed agreements, 20 if you can. It reads the way you actually negotiate, not just the way you say you negotiate, and writes that into your practice profile. After that, every vendor agreement that comes through gets reviewed against your playbook with 3-tier flagging: green for acceptable, yellow to negotiate, red to escalate. Each flag includes the specific contract language, the deviation from your playbook, and a suggested red line, plus a named approver for the escalation. A 3-hour review compresses to 30 or 45 minutes. Unpacked number 3 goes deep on this plugin. This is the layer most legal media coverage has underweighted. The headline number is 20+ MCP connectors, but the ones that change practice are specific. Westlaw and Practical Law, brought in through Thomson Reuters as the integration partner. Court Listener for free case law. Harvey and Lagora, both formerly direct competitors, now connector partners. DocuSign, iManage, NetDocuments, Everlaw for the document and discovery stack. What this means in practice. When Claude cites a case, it can now cite from Westlaw directly, with the source attribution you'd expect from a Westlaw search. When it pulls a contract from iManage, it pulls the actual current version, not a guess at what the contract might say. When it writes to Everlaw, the output lands in your discovery workflow without rekeying. The hallucination risk that defined the first generation of legal AI tools is structurally addressed at this layer. Not because the model stopped hallucinating, but because the model is now reading from the same authority sources your firm already trusts. The Word, Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint integration is the adoption story. Practicing lawyers do not work in a separate AI chat application. They work in Word for drafting, Outlook for communication, Excel for diligence grids and claim charts, PowerPoint for board summaries and pitches. Putting Claude inside those 4 applications means a senior associate can mark up a contract in Word, ask Claude to summarize the material changes for the partner, send the summary in Outlook, and have the context travel across all 3 steps without rebuilding it each time. This is the lowest friction adoption surface any AI tool has shipped into legal practice. It is also, frankly, what made Microsoft Copilot look serious for the first time when it launched. Claude in Word, with Claude's reasoning capability behind it and the legal plugins layered on top, is a materially different product than what Copilot for Word can do today. 3 beats here, and the panel takes each seriously. 1. The cold start interview only works if you do it honestly. Lawyers who breeze through the setup will get generic output. The Claude.md file is the asset. If you don't invest in building it well, the plugin reverts to broadly competent rather than firm-specific. 2. The connector ecosystem requires permissions and careful access controls. Connecting Claude to iManage means Claude can read your iManage. The information governance question, who can run what against which matter file, is a real one. Firms need to think this through before deployment, not after. 3. Privilege. Anthropic has been careful about privilege in the architecture. The skills surface jurisdictional assumptions, flag privilege-sensitive workflows, and gate filings behind explicit confirmation. But the responsibility remains with the lawyer. Every output is described in the documentation as a draft for attorney review. The panel emphasizes this is not corporate caution. It is accurate. Every legal AI episode the panel has produced has come back to the same question. Will it invent a case? The architectural answer in Claude for Legal is sourcing. Every citation comes with attribution. The model is configured to default conservative on subjective legal calls. Jurisdiction assumptions are surfaced rather than buried. Anthropic publishes that they evaluate every model release against more than 24 legal-specific scorers, with citation accuracy and ungrounded case quotes among the named metrics. Combined with the connector layer, this is the strongest hallucination posture any foundation model has shipped into legal practice. The panel's verification protocol, the 5 Qs episode, and the citation checking workflow still applies. Use them. Sourcing reduces the risk of fabricated authority. It does not eliminate it. The lawyer remains the last verifier in every workflow that touches a court filing. Here is the larger pattern, because the panel thinks it matters for how lawyers plan the next 18 months. When the February release shipped, the legal AI market was still defined by application layer vendors. Harvey, Spellbook, Legora, CoCounsel, all building specialized legal tools on top of foundation models. The expected trajectory. The application layer wins because it owns the workflow. This week's release suggests a different pattern. Harvey is now a connector. Legora is now a connector. Thomson Reuters has brought CoCounsel inside Claude. Freshfields is co-developing agentic workflows with Anthropic directly. The foundation model is becoming the workflow surface, and the application layer vendors are becoming distribution partners rather than competitors. What this means for practice. Within 12 months, the question won't be which legal AI tool a firm uses. The question will be which playbook a firm has loaded into Claude. The competitive advantage moves from the tool to the configuration. The firms that invest now in building their playbook profile correctly are the firms that get the compounding return. That was the launch verdict. What shipped, what matters, what to be skeptical about, and the longer pattern the panel thinks practitioners should be planning around. The series continues. Unpacked number 2 is the full walkthrough of litigation legal, with the 4 named agents and where the panel thinks each one is strongest. Unpacked number 3 goes deep on commercial legal, including the sales side and purchasing side playbook split that determines how the plugin behaves for your team. After that, the Research Connector workflow, the Microsoft 365 Surface in-depth, and privacy legal, corporate legal, and AI governance legal as the lane evolves. If you work with any of this, the Unpacked series is the place to follow it. That's the episode. See you in the next one.